This is the sixth small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in Gstaad, 1965.
Well, it seems to me that as we were saying last time, everything is very clear until we come to the question of time.
That's right.
Now, in talking with Alan last night, it became clear that the concept of time is not only confused in psychology, but also it is confused technically and scientifically. In other words, and philosophically, that this concept has always been confused. It has always been the source of the major scientific problems. And the difficulty may be partly not merely because we are in confusion in the search for pleasure, which gives rise to psychological time, but also because in discussing the quiet case, we confuse the legitimate domain of time with the illegitimate domain, because the legitimate domain itself is not clear in our minds. You see, so the issue may not be entirely emotional, it may be partly a lack of clarity of the concept of time itself as we use it functionally. And I thought I would explain for a few minutes what were the major difficulties, which I think have turned up in our discussion. You see that the first difficulty goes back thousands of years to Zeno. You may have heard of it, Zeno's paradox, that if something is moving, it occupies a series of positions. And while it occupies a position, how can it be moving? You see that this is an ancient paradox which has never really been resolved. People have really found ways around it for practical purposes, but still, from the point of view of understanding, it is always there.
Quite.
Now, since that time, also, the theory of relativity has brought about a major change in our notion of time. Before that, people thought of time as absolute, so the same for all observers. One moment now, which spreads through the universe, to be followed by the next moment, the next, a series of moments, which are universal. Now, this was questioned by Einstein, and he said that he showed that the fastest connection between any two events is by the speed of light, by an action at the speed of light, and that any two events not connected by such an action, the word now is meaningless as applied to them. You see that if we take a distant star, light takes 1,000 million years to reach us. What it is now, in the usual sense, means nothing, whereas we can only know what it was when light left. But now this is very interesting, because when Einstein was 16 years old, he asked himself this question: what would happen if I move with the light ray and we're looking in a mirror? And he says, if you look in the mirror, the light will never reach the mirror. You will never see anything. Now, this paradox, and when this was followed through later as he grew older and worked out the theory of relativity, you can see that to any object that moves with a light ray, there is no time and no space. That is, if we say a light ray starts 1,000 million years ago and reaches here, nevertheless, time is relative, so that observers moving at different speeds, time has a different rate. And moving at the speed of light, there is no time, but also between the source, space also changes, so that between the source and the receiver there's no space, but nevertheless there is an order of existence. And when you put several light rays together, going this way and that way, then you begin to make time and space. So in a sense, the light ray, which is not time and space, contains the germ of time and space by means of a combination of light rays. Now, this really is not fully understood, at present in science, but I'm saying that this is the situation. Now, which reminded me to some extent of some of the things you were saying. You see that to the observer who was fixed, light appears to be in time, but to the light ray itself, light is not in time. Now, you see, we were saying that you were looking at the flower and saying there's no time, but say I was looking at you and saying you're taking time to say
Quite.
So therefore there was time, and I said there was time, and you said there was no time. You see, so we have to understand that. You see that. Then the other issue which arose was that is there a flow? You see, I say to me I see you're first looking at the flower, and now you're looking at the mountain, and now you're talking to me. It seems one of these things, it flows into the other, which is time. Now, it's not clear to me what you want to say, whether there is flow from looking at the flower to looking at me or talking to me. Or now, you see, all of these questions seem related to me in the sense that science seems to suggest, although it's not yet clear, that there is a kind of existence which is not time, and interestingly enough, it is also not it is free. That is, don't know if I can explain it, but the movements in time are causally determined by the totality of what came before it. But the movement along this ray of light is not determined. And it's in the sense that it could be anything, and that it's very hard to explain it in non-technical terms, but the nearest thing I can say is that it's a kind of existence which has a structure and an order, but it is not determined by something else.
Good.
Now, but then if you combine several of these, you begin to form a structure of determination. You see, gradually time and space begin to come out of it. So now it seemed that all of these things you see it occurred to me that perhaps what you mean by the timeless looking at the flower is that we are discussing the state of mind which looks at the flower. That is, what the flower is in itself we don't know, but it comes to the mind, perception, and that there should be no division between the act of looking and that aspect of the flower which does enter the mind, you see. That we could consider that when the flower enters perception, then one could interpose a process of thought which would try to make it more enjoyable.
Good.
And that would be the observer, right, bringing in time. But so if the process of thought were not interposed, then I take it you to mean that the action of perceiving the flower would be one action, which would be rather like this light ray that has no time in it and no space, but still has some structure. Well, this really was the essence of what I wanted to bring up. But one more point to say that I think that if we could clarify the concept of time as it is used functionally, this would not only be useful for function's sake, but also we could help avoid some of the confusion which arises.
So, what would time mean to you as a human being? Not a scientist, not highly trained technician, but what would time mean to you? There are two types, aren't there? Psychological and chronological. We jump from one to the other always, right? What would it mean to you? I've got to take a train.
Yeah.
The time of the train is fixed, and I have to leave the house quarter an hour before and walk down, take it. That's one kind of time which is learning, acquiring knowledge, to learn a language, to learn a technique, to do anything in the physical world needs time. Right? Anything. Now, what other time is there? Growing old?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I mean, and things growing, you see everything.
Things growing. My wanting something and getting excited about getting it, and the pleasure of getting it, and getting it. And also time is involved. I am here and I will be there psychologically. I am ugly, I am brutal, I will be something else. Violent. I'll be non-violent. So there is the verb to be, the present, there has been and will be. Right? All that includes time.
Yes, but you say there's also this question that one tries to understand time and one thinks about it. You see, one says, well, now is the present. It seems to be flowing. That is, what is disappears and something new comes in. You see, it's still the present, but there seems to be a flow in addition. Now, this is also what I feel about time, that something is flowing. Or moving, you see.
If I can understand the chronological time thoroughly, that's simple, that's very clear, leave it there. I can't alter it, it is fact. Now, is there any other time?
You see, this is the thing that has to be clarified.
Yes. Is there any other time?
There does seem to be an impression, aside from the time of psychological achievement, which you mentioned, that we can see as false, there seems to be something in between that we have to clarify. You see that there seems to be a sense of flow of existence, do you see? That,
So wait a minute. Existence. Huh?
yes.
Existence means duration.
And change, you see.
Existence means duration, a movement in change.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Isn't it so?
Yes, and duration of something and change of something flowing,
Sure.
one thing becoming another.
Yes. So when we talk about time, we mean existence in time, which is changing, which is moving, which is blocking, which is resisting, which is a constant movement as duration. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, it seems that you can go into all these other questions, but as you come to the essence of the thing, that something is existing in duration, do you see?
In duration.
Yes, that this may be an illusion, but it seems very real.
Yes. I existed yesterday, and I am existing today, and I will exist tomorrow.
It seems that right this moment I am existing, but at the same time I am flowing. That in some sense...
Yes, I am flowing with the time I have known as yesterday. With that movement, I'm still going on.
Well, perhaps we could say, even if we could say the time I have known a fraction of a second ago, that I start at a certain point, and then, and then in that fraction of a second I'm flowing into another state.
Yes.
Now, you said, it seems now that this, or else if we try to make it still stronger, I say it, now I'm in one state, now I'm in another, and somehow I have changed. You see that when I say you were looking at the flower, then you were looking at something else, do you see? And what I don't understand is whether there was a flow between them.
Yes, I understand. What does time mean, actually?
Well, that we don't know. You see,
apart from chronological time and advancement and acquiring and all the rest of it, achieving, is there any other time? Time being duration, and duration as continuation of existence. This sounds absurd, but do you exist? Except as thought? Except as memory? And if you were only to function, not as I functioning,
but pure function.
Pure function.
Would you suggest that this layer of thought that gets interposed between function and...
Yes, that's what I want to get at slowly. I want to explore it a little bit.
Yes. So we said that last night.
What?
We spoke about that last night.
If I am only functioning, if there is only functioning, and there is no thought which identifies itself with the function,
Yes, that we have to go slowly on what it means to identify itself with the function,
I mean,
other than
thought
words.
says that it's a pleasurable function. I want to get more out of it. I want to continue with it. I will be famous with it. I will use function for status, let's call it for the moment.
Well, or for a pleasant state of being.
A present state of being, which is status. Power, position, authority, all the rest of it.
Or even just to say that's me
Exists,
functioning
yes.
in such and such a capacity. Realizing itself as it were as an entity.
That's all
in a
implied
function.
in
Yes,
status.
yes.
I function, therefore I exist, the mind says.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, I think therefore I am.
Deducing,
Yeah,
deducing,
good
an,
old stuff.
deducing
Good old
an,
stuff,
exactly,
yes.
the Descartes is deducing an I-ness from function.
Yes.
This must be me doing
So
this.
time means function, in that sense.
Well, yes, let's go. So I say it's very clear that function means time, because
Yeah.
I see that function is ordered action in time. Would you
Yes,
say
yes,
that?
that's right.
Right, now, therefore, but now, yes, and even physically time means function, because the function of
course,
the clock
of course,
measures
clock.
time, yes.
Yes.
Or a
And so,
function,
wait,
right.
and is there any other time? Thought invents it.
Or-
Time.
as the order of function. But
Yeah.
would you say that the order of function is real as well, that thought has invented it?
No, but I have to go to the station to take the train.
Yes, but that thought, that invention is not arbitrary, because the train and the sun and the stars and so on, it reflects something real,
Real.
but not necessarily, the reality may not be time. I mean,
That just stop a minute. That's what I want to get at.
yes.
So, you and we say time, that time must be. It is an actuality. Is there any other actuality as time?
Except the order of function.
Except, we've said that, except
Yeah.
the order of function.
Yes, now what we have to watch is carefully this. You see, I think the confusion arises in this feeling of the flow of time, which seems to be somewhere between function and this other stuff which anybody can see through, such as looking forward to status and so on. Do you see that? You see, after a little explanation, it's very easy to see that to look forward to status is foolishness, because there's so much that's meaningless in it. You see, but now, let's say we now come down to something narrower. We say, I'm not looking forward to status, I'm just existing. Do you see that? This is, I think, where the confusion comes.
Wait, I question even that.
I know you are, but I'm saying now that to make it very sharp, I want to sharpen up the thing. I say,
And
this is what you are questioning. I say that I, and probably most other people, feel, well, all right, we're not going to look forward to our future status, but right now I am existing.
now what? That's it. Well, when you say I am existing,
What is this I?
no, not what is I. What is existing?
Yes, well, I want to say, what is existence? You say, I even give up I, and I'll say right now.
Of course, that's what I pushed it out.
Yes, we'll say right now there is a process of existence.
Existence, yes.
Yes.
But now, when are you conscious of it?
Well, when I'm conscious of some function of feeling and thought,
Even no, you go a little, sir. It's only when there is a conflict, when there's a contradiction, when there's a friction, when there is an attempt to do a resistance, a defense.
Well, let's go slowly. You see, I would say at first sight it would seem that at this moment there isn't any, but you might say this very discussion, or the very desire to understand the thing, is the source of some conflict. I mean, you see, I say, well, I don't see any obvious source of conflict, but I say, as I say, I'm going to try simply to understand what's going on about time. So I say, all right, we've seen the futility of this looking forward to status, but now I begin to say, looking at the way time looks now, I say, I apparently see
I exist.
something exists.
Something exists. Huh?
Yeah.
Existence and existing.
Yes. Both. I mean.
Both are taking place at the same time.
Yes.
Right? Existence and existing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, When do you say I'm existing?
I would put it that
Or rather, when are you conscious of existence as time?
you see, well, when you look at this thing in order to see it, I would put it that
When you
look at yourself in order to see how you exist, you see. When you become
now, wait,
you
all right.
realize
When you
function.
look at yourself, how you exist,
yes,
what is taking place?
well, that's what we want to find out.
What is taking place? I look at myself
Yes.
as I am. If there is no correction, if there is no trying to change it, if there is no condemnation, etc., etc., what am I looking at? You follow, sir? We said function as time. With that mind, I look. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you were trying to say that one is unaware of the fact that the looking process is through a function.
Still function.
Yes, and therefore what you see has function impressed on it. I mean,
Yes. But if I really put function as time aside completely,
yes, and that may be more difficult than it seems. You
yes,
see that
that's it.
because let's say I see function, I'm looking through function at function. Let's say I feel a function of some movement inside, which is mildly pleasant, let's say, and I say that's the flow of time.
Yes.
But then you'll say that really comes from the this layer of thought that is looking,
Yes.
which is also
Which
a
is also
function.
Part of
function.
the flow of time.
Yes, I mean now then, but we don't actually see the layer of thought that is looking.
Of course.
Now, and therefore we are not aware that this whole thing is produced by the layer of thought that is looking.
Yes.
And therefore it seems to us that we are existing in time, even leaving aside all the questions of pleasure and status and so on.
Yes, sir. I understand that. We're trying to find out. We say function as time, right? Then there is existence and existing, which I only know when I look at that existence and existing through the eyes of function.
Through the eyes of there's a certain, I feel it is a layer of thought which is functioning in between.
That looks.
That looks, and it's in between perception and what I want to
Yes,
see, right?
that looks.
Yes.
And that says I exist in time.
Yes.
Now, if there was not that look, the habitual look of function, then what is existence? Is there such thing as existence?
Well, I mean, are you distinguishing existence and existing?
Because both are the
Yes,
same, really.
Well, something exists. It seems that
What exists?
we don't know. But
Wait, we're going to go into it a little bit. What exists? Now, let's begin. I'm using very simple language. I function, going to the office, all the rest of it. Function, achieving, frightened, changing, all that which is a form of function. Right? And I see if I approach with that mentality, with that layer of thinking, I am carrying over time to a different area which may not demand that time at all.
and could I also add that if I approach the question of the deeper nature of scientific time, it may be a similar mistake.
Similar quite.
Yes.
So I see that. I see the mistake I do. So I say, no, I won't look with that eyes, with those eyes of function.
But then we say, I don't see how to look at any other.
That's
eyes.
where
the question,
comes
right?
the difficulty. To look at myself without time, right?
without function.
Without time as function.
Yes. But is there any function in looking at myself?
There is, if I condemn, if I say this is good, this is bad, this is pleasurable, this not, this should be kept, this should not be kept, this must be changed.
But even if I merely look and see that there is something flowing, that's still function.
Wait.
Yeah.
When you are saying it is flowing,
Yes.
there may be something entirely different.
But I'm saying the flow may be due to the function of looking.
That's it.
I'm saying that it's not really pleasure and pain and getting ahead and all that, but actually,
Even just looking.
I'm saying that I think the trouble arises, in a sense, I want to say there are two kinds of mistakes. You see, there's the dishonest mistake and the honest mistake, right? Now, most mistakes are dishonest mistakes, but they may arise from a certain honest mistake that is very deep. You see, and once you make that mistake, then you're driven to make all the other mistakes.
Yes, quite.
So therefore I'm saying perhaps we're approaching a fundamental mistake, which is a simple mistake that would be corrected once you really see it. Whereas all the other mistakes, you go on with them even when you see them.
I understand.
All right,
So
now,
let's correct the...
all right, so we're trying to find this simple mistake, which I don't think is fundamentally, although pleasure may be involved in it, I'm not sure it's fundamentally due to the search for pleasure. I mean,
No, I don't say that.
Yes.
I don't say that.
I mean, I think this is a mistake which the human race has grown up with
Quite.
in its whole structure of thought.
Yes.
And out of this mistake may have arisen all the others. Or
Yes.
No,
So can you look without the function of thought? Which means look with time.
Well, I must say the first reaction to that is that the mind is a blank. You see.
Wait, it's a blank, right. I was watching it. It's a blank. Why shouldn't it be blank?
Why not?
I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Mm,
Why
right.
should it be blank? If we don't object it to being blank, then what?
Well, I can't see my except, but possibly it seems to be shaking a bit. I don't know.
Yes. Let's proceed.
Hmm.
I don't mind being blank.
Yeah, well, then your mind may just go to sleep, of course.
No, my mind isn't going to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's one of the things that may happen.
But if we are clear, thought is function, thought is time, and with that functional mind we approach and look, then we introduce the functional time into a realm where time may not exist at all. So, can I put the function as time and thought there, leave it there, on the table, and use it only when it's necessary?
Well, we can start anyway.
It can start. Then you say, if I do that, my mind becomes blank. All right.
But then it seems some movement starts to penetrate.
Wait. If it is blank, there's no objection. But it's not asleep. It's not daydreaming. It isn't blank.
Well, could we say the part of the mind which I'm accustomed to using I'm still looking at it and there's nothing happening? Is that what you...
Yes. But you want something to happen, therefore, that's a function. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, thought has been conditioned to say that whatever I see, something must happen there.
Happen. I don't care. I'm quite willing nothing should happen. But to come to that point, willing to accept, in quotes, that point where you accept nothing happening, is already tremendous intelligence at work. which is not blank. That's what I want to get at.
Well, would you say that the fact that the mind appreciates that nothing is happening is already an action of intelligence? I mean, is that...
Yes, yes. Wait, therefore, don't let us say use the word blank. That's all I am objecting to. Something of which I am not familiar is coming into being.
Yes. It's not totally blank, is what I wanted to say.
All right.
I call it blank.
I don't want to call it blank.
Yes, well, I see it wasn't quite blank, and therefore it was wrong to call it blank.
Yes. Then let's proceed from there. The mind is looking at itself without the thought as function and time.
But how can the mind look at itself?
Well, it is doing it. Now, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's very curious.
It's doing it.
I mean, is there a mirror in the mind?
It's not a mirror. Wait. What is taking place? Let's go slowly,
Yes.
otherwise we'll get a little bit lost. What is taking place? I have deliberately, for the moment, shut time, thought, function out. Locked it up in there. And my mind then looks not only at itself, at everything.
Well, could I say that everything, whatever is happening comes into the mind. Some things are happening inside and some are happening outside, and the mind is looking at it all.
Yes.
It's as simple
Yes.
as that, right?
As simple as that.
I mean, I don't know that if the mind is looking at itself yet.
No. Let's get that may come later. So it's looking at everything, itself, and it's what's the and
What's inside and what's outside.
Right? What's inside and what's outside. Is there time in that look? That's what we are discussing. Is there time in that look? Time as we know it.
But you want to say, is there another kind of time?
Maybe, I don't know.
But what is the character of time as we know it that you're asking about?
Yes. The character of time, the structure of time as function thought, we know. At least we think we know. And here we have blocked that. And we are now looking at everything outside and inside without thought, right? As time and function. I look at you, I look at that flower, I look at myself, look at myself inside. What happens? Is there time? Time I have only known as a movement in existence. Here there is no existence, there is only observation. There is only a looking. It's difficult. An observation without thought.
Now, the minute I feel that something is moving or flowing, would you say that's thought coming in?
I do. Wait, that's what I want. I want to block that completely.
Because it's only when I ask the question of the nature of this that it begins to flow
Yeah,
again.
of course.
So therefore, we say that in finding the nature of this, I'm conditioned by the past notions of how to find the nature, what it means. Right?
Yes. So, look, it's very interesting what's happening actually. We have blocked thought, time, and function. I have still my roots in it. I may think I blocked it, but actually my roots and my whole being is in that. Can I block that too?
What do you mean by your roots? I mean, out in the body or the...
Body, my memories, the whole of my 40-year movement of 80, 90, 100 movement. Can I block all that? Not only consciously, but unconsciously.
Yes, well, I mean, this we don't know. I mean,
I think we can, can't we? Because when we say thought as function and time, that's right through, not just one layer. Right through one's being.
yes, but can we reach all the other layers?
Wait, I don't want to, I have no time to reach it.
Yes, well,
I'm not interested.
I meant to put it another way. Not can we reach it, but is there
Can we block
anything
them?
we do that will stop them?
I have, moment I have said, let us separate time and block it, I meant that. Go right through and build right from the foundation a wall over which it cannot flow. You understand, these are all absurd similes, but can I do that? I can only do it when my mind actually realizes that it cannot, if it wishes to go into something else, cannot go with that mind. Right? Because I'm really interested to go into this. You follow, sir? I really want to find out. Therefore, it will not interfere with it. Not because I have willed that you should not, but I see the nature of that cannot possibly enter into this. So I've cleared the field when I say it cannot enter. There is no conscious, unconscious, going to the very root of it. It cannot. It's like seeing something poisonous and say, there it ends.
When you put it, when there is an intense conscious realization
Yeah,
that this is that, then
right.
the whole mind follows that.
Follows that.
I mean, because you almost said the mind is watching that.
Yeah. Therefore, there is no contradiction. Therefore, there is no blocking. It's finished.
But this depends on the strength of the conscious.
Of course, it depends on the conscious awareness of thought, time, function.
With complete intensity.
Yeah, of course, that's what.
And then the rest of the mind doesn't have to. You don't have to bother with it. It will take care of
That's
itself.
right. That's right.
I mean, all this work about the unconscious.
No,
is not
that's all
necessary.
too childish.
Yes, I mean, but really, the key is in consciousness.
Yes. So I say to I mean, if I'm really very serious and very conscious of the whole thing, then I finished. I left it. Then I say to myself, what? How do I look? There must be something more. You follow, sir? Or may not be. But first I must cleanse my eyes of that. You see, that means, doesn't it, sir? There is no searching, seeking, no experiencing, and no observer. Right? I see the flower, but there is no observer seeing the flower.
But I suppose we just clarify this a little. That you are looking at the flower. There is an awareness that you are here and the flower is there.
There.
But would say that the energy, the action does not seem to start inside from. What you're really issue is the psychological observer. You see, not the human being as observer, because you are in a certain place and you can only see what's on this side of the mountain and
not on that
side. So therefore, you are an observer in that sense still.
That.
So, but see, the way it seems to me is that see, whatever you observe, you only can observe it to the extent that it becomes part of you.
Now, sir, wait.
Yeah.
I observe that.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. We observe through time and function thought, right? We've stopped that. Is there an observer then? Forget the flower, forget the people, you follow what I mean? Forget the whole structure of what we are. Is there an observer then? Of course, I see you sitting there, and you see me sitting here. There is the obvious division as you and me.
Yes.
But again, if there was no thought, time, function, I can look. And there is not a look of the observer.
Yes, and we have to see. There are still a few points to clarify. So I understand that a little bit, I think. Now, nevertheless, although there is no observer, so I take it that what is in your awareness is not as different from what is in mine. In some way, we are still different.
Yes. But I want to go a little further. Yes, I understand. Go on.
Yes, I mean, but these are things which one should be
clarify.
clear about. You say that the. See, could I say there's one, as far as I'm concerned, there's one field of awareness which would be aware of the inside and the outside.
Yes, right. Go further. Go on. But that awareness is not built around a center as the observer.
Would you say that when the awareness is built around a center, one feels, say, the action is originating somewhere?
Somewhere.
And
yes.
It's moving.
And therefore the experience comes into being.
By the experience, you mean that sense of feeling and...
yes, all the rest of it.
Pleasure and pain.
Yes, and time, thought, function. After all, that is the center from which we look.
Yes, now although you could say time is not the role it had before, nevertheless we still have the chronological order of talking.
Oh, that's understood, don't you?
Also of memory, you said.
Yes, that's function, we said that.
But there would be something else to be clarified. Why is it? See, what is the meaning of the fact that as I talk, in some way, you see, each moment is still different, isn't it?
Yes.
And that still is a kind of time. Now, is that function still?
I should say still function.
It's the function of talking.
Talking.
Memory.
Yes, the whole thing.
But then would you say as far what we would really mean by existence is something which...
Existence as duration in time.
Yeah. But that is not existence. But this function is not really existence.
I say that's all I know.
Yes, all I know, but it seems there's something wrong.
I say, with those eyes,
yes,
or with that attention, or with that recognition, knowledge, I can't proceed further. I'll go round and round in that circle. Now, if I could put it away for time being, or permanently, or definitely, then what happens? That's what we are talking about. Then what place has time apart from that? There's obviously something going on, right?
Yes, sir.
Something totally different from that. In which there is no center as the observer and the thing observed, Don't. There is no center. Something is going on. You see, sir, to really go into it, one must be completely free of not only all that, but the machinery that creates illusion. Right, sir?
What is that machinery? That's thinking.
Obviously. Most subtle form of saying this is what,
What?
saying, creating an illusion and saying that illusion is what is real.
No. Such as the illusion of existence
Yes.
or various feelings.
So I have to not only understand pleasure and the desire which creates pleasure, urges it, gives it a duration.
Yes, pleasure is there by a desire which continues it.
Yes. And also, there must be absolute cessation of thought as a means of creating something which is still infinitely pleasurable. Right?
Yes,
So, thought must completely come to an end. Otherwise, I'll be caught in some fanciful, illusion which may not be real at all. And obviously can't be real if it is an illusion.
well, yes, we could say that thought, which is a function, may be given the value of something real, of existence, and that's illusion. And in doing that, you may get great pleasure,
Of course.
because you may create what you think you like, you see, and so on. But this is extremely subtle. I mean, this tiniest little feeling
That's just it.
will do it. You see,
Very
I've
good.
noticed that many times. I mean,
Yes.
if you're in a state of conflict, and if you watch it for a while, it will dissolve into very tiny feelings that are pleasurable.
Pleasurable, yes, quite.
And they seem to be connected to nerves that are extremely sensitive, so as to explode the whole brain.
Oh, quite.
So the slightest touch of that nerve is enough to throw it off. I mean, could one say that one is reaching some sort of center of the brain which is very sensitive, and if the thought disturbs that center at all,
Obviously, right, sir. Right, sir.
that center must not be disturbed.
Disturbed.
Then perhaps something
That's
wrong
what
is-
we are trying to find out.
Yes. So I would say that yes, we have this supersensitive quality. And I can see that the slightest feeling disturbs it and projects infinite pleasure.
Yes.
And therefore, the brain cannot resist pushing on with it. You see, if you once project such pleasure, the brain has to go
Has
on
to
with
go
it.
on with it.
So it has to be
So
not to start.
I blocked it. You follow
Yeah.
right away, I blocked it.
Yes. Well, what I see so far is that I can see these things working, and I'm being aware of them individually. They are blocked, but let us say they keep on coming.
Yeah, I can deal with them immediately. Let them come.
That is, in a way, you say the center, what seems to have been the center, has dissolved into this.
Into this. It's much more subtle than this, surely.
Why?
Not only the center being dissolved, but also the dissolution of thought which seeks pleasure.
Well, could we put it that thought gives supreme value to pleasure, and therefore the brain seeks it, do you see?
Yes, right, sir, right.
That is, the thought itself does not seem to be seeking
No.
the pleasure. It seems that it's irresistible, do you see?
Yes, quite. I follow. Right, sir. Right.
And,
Put it that way. It's all right.
So the mischief has been done where pleasure has been overvalued.
Yes. That's why I've gone through all that. And I say, all right, now I've finished with all that. Then what is time? Is there such thing? That is, if I can, thought has come to an end. You follow, sir? Thought, except in the world of function, and also pleasure as
All these vibrations.
all these any
So
such
we said that is the source of time, because you see now there's one sort of a wave of pleasure and then there's another one. I mean, that,
yes.
I mean, it's a slight wave of thought which makes time.
Right.
Would you say that?
Right, sir. Right. Can all that be quiet?
Yes, so that I don't know. You see.
That is the real crux of the thing. That's the essence of this.
Yes, I mean, it's clear that it must be quiet, because as long as that moves, there must be illusion.
Of course.
So I say that this is allowed to move, but not this. Is that?
That's right.
See, that's one of the sources of confusion. And
Now, that's clear now.
yes,
This must be completely still and function.
yes. Now, if this is not still, I will not understand that.
Right. Yes, sir, that's right. And this stillness, quietness, or whatever, can only come through that.
What do you mean?
By understanding that, this can come. This cannot be created by itself without that.
All right, well, that's what I don't understand. You see, I say this must be quiet. That's very clear.
Yes. But that quietness has come because I've understood the nature of time and
Yes.
function, thought,
Yes.
pleasure.
So let's go back. Then we don't fully understand the nature of function yet.
Yes.
You see, so we're back to the beginning again.
Therefore, I have to be very clear, as we said the other day. Life, this side of the line in which there is sensitivity, non-frustration, and intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Till that takes place, I can't come to this stillness.
All right, so we're back to look at function sensitivity.
That's all. Because one has to become so tremendously sensitive and aware, otherwise the least movement of pleasure as thought is gone. You follow?
Yes. Well, suppose I say I'm looking at function, but in that very look, if I misunderstand it, I'll start this going. Is that what you're trying to start the wrong movement going inside?
Yeah, that's right.
And now how do I come to misunderstand this function?
No, we don't understand. We try to use or translate the function as
pleasure.
Pleasure,
Yes.
in which there is prestige for the center. I'm a cook. All right, I'm a cook.
Yes, I'm not satisfied to be a cook. That's the trouble.
That's it. I'm the cook. Which means I have no comparison.
Yes, if I engage in comparison, then I'm putting some branch of thought once again in that very high value.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's a tremendous thing, sir. To be a cook without comparison. Which means I love cooking. Yes, sir. I mean, therefore, there is no frustration. There is no saying, I wish I were the Prime Minister, or the professor, or the rich man going in that car.
all right, so whatever you are doing,
That is tremendous, sir. See, now instead of going out, you follow, sir, what I mean? Huh? With comparison is going out.
yes.
And a block, and all that comparison is stopped. Therefore, all that energy remains as the cook merely function remains. Therefore, there is no dissipation of energy through comparison. And let's proceed from there. That's what I want to get at.
Yes. We are functioning without comparison.
And therefore, I am completely in love with what I'm doing. Therefore, I'm no friction. I'm no contradiction. Because the moment I compare status, position, all that comes in.
The energy is being destroyed in all this waste.
That's right.
Far more energy than one thinks. That,
I agree, obviously.
yes, because it looks at first sight as if it's not much energy, but we have really covered up that.
Yes.
How much energy is being wasted. I mean, probably 99%.
Yes, yes. You see, if I am the cook and I love it and I'm not wasting it, there's something else takes place. If I cook. But there's whole
one. Well, could you say that the energy starts to build up?
Yes.
I mean, I function without friction, and then even whatever it is, then if you're in good health, the energy will start to build up.
Yes.
But perhaps not if you're not in good health, I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes. All right. What I want to get at, sir, is if there is no comparison, the energy is extraordinarily alone. You know what I mean? Alone in the sense, completely gathered. I wonder if
Well, we have to go slowly here.
there. I mean, you are in a state where you love what you're doing.
Well, then there's a very intense energy. I can see that.
Yeah, and that intensity is not in cooking.
But in something else.
Yes, it is intense
It's in itself.
in itself, and you cook.
Why have you chosen cooking?
And took that as an
No, but
example.
I don't mean that, but I meant you're doing something. You see.
I might be Menuhin, playing the violin,
Yes.
or the engine driver. It doesn't matter what
This
it is.
depends on the past.
Yes.
I mean, how you came this.
Okay, that's a very small affair. So what happens with that intensity? Not I wanted anything to happen. What takes place when there's great intensity? which is not artificial stimulation, drugs, excitement, that harsh intensity that comes through discipline, all that business. So we have come to a point when thought, function, time, and that has to function as the cook, the professor, the anything else, as the homeopath. and so we love that, and you love what you're doing. Therefore there is no friction, therefore there is no waste of energy through comparison. Status and all that is gone, completely gone.
Then it seems there may be another sort of a spread of an energy inside of you.
That's what is going to take place. And there is no observer. You follow, say, in the sense. You follow? Therefore, it is not an experience which is being prolonged.
Yeah, but it seems that, could you say still this energy has a kind of urge toward something in it? I mean, it's not an experience, but it seems that, could you compare it to, say, a rising pressure?
Yes, all right. Rising pressure. And without going insane, loony.
Yes, but of course that may be a difficulty. You see, I think that I have had, say, some experience of intense energy in the past which seemed frightening, as if it were to be dissolving me, or which therefore I didn't understand.
Quite.
Now,
Quite.
Maybe that one then avoids this energy after that because it's frightening.
Frightening. Right. But here there is nothing to be frightened.
Mm-hmm.
There's no observer to be frightened.
As long as the observer is there, you're frightened, because the observer is trying to protect itself.
But of course, that's why we removed all that.
Yes. But I mean, now there's no fear, of course. But I mean, really.
You see, sir, doesn't it mean really there is no movement as thought? Thought has a movement in function. Here there is no movement which thought can recognize, because thought is not coming into this at all.
Yes, well, there is still thought, but it is not in this.
Yeah, we said that.
Yes, and now...
So I want to communicate it to you. How do I do it? I have to use thought. But you and I know the description is not that. The word is not that. So I think we also have to understand this question of distance and space too. Right? Would time, when time, in the sense that we've talked about, comes to an end, is there a distance and space?
Well, this is not clear because it seems the mountain is still distant.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain, space, distance, time, thought. And I'm not looking at mountains. I'm sitting here looking at the mountains. I can look at it as an observer, or I can look at it without thought as the observer. Now, if I can look at that mountain without thought as the observer, is there a distance? Or is there only a space in which the mountain exists?
And me exists.
And
Right now the body exists.
the body exists,
Yes.
not the experiencer.
Yes. The space contains the mountain and the body.
Body, yes. But that space is not created by the mountain and the body.
No.
Yes, but where is it created?
Wait.
The space creates the perception of the mountain and the body, doesn't it?
Yes. If you look at it, at that mountain, as a thinker, the observer, you are the center around which space is created. You are creating space.
Well, could I put it this way? If there's a layer of thought and function, then space is organized around that.
Right. Put it that way.
And that seems to be me. Right?
Me, that's right. If you look at the mountain without the layer of thought as function, as the experiencer, what is space? You are there as the body, organism, and the mountain is there. What is space there? Without space, that can't exist, you can't exist. Right, sir?
What do you mean it's the ground of existence?
Ground of existence, that's right. And I don't want to use that word existence in the sense
I
of...
know, but the ground of the ground of action.
And ground of, yes.
Articulation.
Yeah. Now, let's proceed further. Then, you are not there. You follow, sir? You as the observer is not there. Your body is there, but not as the observer with the layer of thought, function, etc., which looks.
There is space out of which comes
You're there, the mountain is
the
there.
perception that
Yeah,
of
the
this.
mountain is there.
But this space is still a function of the brain, isn't it? Because if it's damaged, you don't have it.
Of course. Bullet through it and you pin through it, you're finished.
Because one tends to think of it first as if it were outside the brain altogether.
No. You see, sir, if there was not stillness in you, in the organism, and that stillness we have come to not created artificially, but through thought, time, function, and all that examination of that area, and have proceeded not verbally but actually, then you have a mind that's completely still. The mind in which the brain is also involved. The brain is still, though it sees the mountain, right?
Now, we understand that through thought, of course, through functional thought.
Yeah, we'll come to that point. In which there is no experiencer, no thinker, and all the rest of it. Now, in that stillness is that time. Time as we have known it, right? Or any other kind of time. And we only know any other kind of time through comparison, or through the expansion of that time. How can there be time when the mind is completely quiet?
What you really mean is quiet in this sense here, that there's still...
Oh, that's understood, we've gone. That is going on. I'll go back to that. Perhaps I'll go back to it with a greater intensity, with a greater clarity, but I have come from that movement to this.
Yes, but it still seems that there's another movement in this. I mean...
Wait, I want to stop there.
Right.
Before I assume there is another movement, I want to be clear. It's not the movement of time as we have known. You see, sir, if there is that stillness, and out of that stillness, function can go on. I can still be cook. I can still be a professor. I can still be a whatever it is. Right, sir?
Yes.
So my relationship has changed to function, to action, to people. Huh?
No, it seems that it starts from something else. Is that
Yes, yes. So, time as thought, layer of thought, function, process, method, achievement, comparison, all that we have completely understood. And out of this understanding comes this stillness. And from this stillness I can flow to time. And right? Right?
Yes, and we haven't done it yet.
Yes. Because I don't mind, I have no comparison. You follow, sir? I don't wish to be anything than what is as function. Therefore there is no contradiction, no friction, no comparison, no wanting to be greater violinist than... all that's gone. If it is gone. Therefore, my brain and my mind are not thinking in terms of more or less. And in such a state, where is time? As I have understood it. You see, if the outward flow of that stillness, which is action, doesn't come back and interfere with the other, there may be another flow.
Yes, let's say there is perhaps another flow, and there is the outward flow to function.
But that mustn't
Come back.
come back.
Yes, I understand that. And so that is the same, really the analogy which I was suggesting about this amplifier, that
Yes.
if it comes back, it destroys it.
So, it is always an outward movement.
Now, this is extremely sensitive, this outward movement.
Of course. It's always out, it has no inward movement.
But now perception, let me make
Ah,
it
it's
very
very
clear. It
interesting
seems to have an inward.
Hmm?
I say I act outwardly,
Yeah.
but it seems that looking is something coming in as well.
What is there to come in?
Well, the light comes in.
Yes, light
the
comes in
nerves
all
are-
the rest of it. But
Yeah.
Energy.
not function, thought, or time, taking a different form and entering into this.
Well, could I say that whatever is coming in, it's not coming in this functional way? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's right.
I mean, there may be another movement.
I don't know. It is not entering that way.
Mm-hmm.
So can we put it that way? It's like a rock against which waves are beating. Eh? Go away and beat, go away and beat. But the rock is rock. It can't move. I mean, simile is wrong, but you understand what I mean.
Yes, well, something is moving toward whatever one sees, right?
No, it's moving out of silence.
It's moving out of silence, but is it moving toward the world?
Yes, towards the world. I have to go walk,
Yes.
I have to drive, you have to
Yes,
cook,
or
and
else
I have to
merely to see
milk
this
the
thing,
cow,
yes.
and we do all dozen things.
Mhm.
Therefore, function.
Do you want to say about thought, though, that thought should arise as we move out? There will be a corresponding movement of thought to help us. I mean, functional thought.
Yes, obviously.
But movement which originates from thought is wrong.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
Then is there time. Is that which is completely still. We know what we mean by stillness, because we've gone all through this. Has it any movement which can be considered time? And therefore, a movement in which there is change, which is not of time. Right, sir?
You say there is change in this movement, not of time.
Not of time.
There's flow, which is not of time.
Time exists only when there is an observer. Right? Observer as the thought layer, and so on, so on, so on.
Yes.
And is it possible for you and me to communicate the other movement, talk about the other movement, which is not of time, which is in which there is change, which is not of time? A movement is change, obviously, but it's not of time. Can we communicate about that verbally?
I don't know.
How can we?
Mm-hmm.
We can come up to that point.
Yes.
We can discuss in detail, tear it to pieces, put it together and tear it again, examine, re-examine, till the mind is completely still. So that it is not disturbed by any wave of thought as or pleasure as thought. How can you, and if I have the same silence, how can that two sides can't communicate? But without communication, without using words, if we both of us are attentive, we know what it is. It's not intuition, it's none of all that bilge.
Yes. Since we've gone through this whole thing together, and since we've checked at every point,
Yes.
therefore it seems safe to suppose that whatever it is for me, it is for you. I mean, but although in a sense I can't be sure of that.
One has to distrust similarity, and there may be such dissimilarity,
Yes.
which may be similar, but not in the sense we know.
Well, I mean in some unknown sense.
Yeah. No, sir. I think both of us, when we have done this, really, it is not similar. It's something,
But would you say it's different then?
I-
No.
No. It's not similar, it's not different.
But you imply that it might be in some ways both. I mean,
And I don't imply it's not
yeah.
similar, it is not dissimilar.
Mhm. Because these are categories of thought. I mean,
Not, of course. Also, we better stop. At the end of